Hey there, Dr. Crypto here with another crypto update and a Tectonic update too. So I hope everybody's having a great day around the world, wherever you are, and give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and give us a subscribe. Really, yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. So it was a really interesting day yesterday. I wasn't personally doing any trading, as we could see some of those wicks going up to the upside and down to the downside. So there's a lot of people being caught out on this. So we had the Federal Reserve meeting with Jerome Powell, which he gave, it ended up being the 25 basis points that he gave us. So, so basically the fund rate was, is aimed at 4.5 to 4.75%. But basically, he says that the committee anticipates the ongoing increase in the target range will be appropriate in order to aim a stance in monetary policy, because we, at the end of the day, he wants to still get that 2%. His objective all the way through this was to get that 2% objective. And, from what he was saying, he was sort of giving the markets and he was giving everybody both scenarios, really, and that, so he was sort of like a bit of a mixed bag. He was a bit dovish here and a bit hawkish there, so he was giving us, like I said, he was giving us both scenarios and what, but obviously they want to bring they want to sort of control manner, I suppose. They want to sort of see they're concentrating on the jobs market, basically. They want to see that come down a little bit. It's like, they just want to control it. They don't want to really push things so everybody loses their jobs and really bad, and it's just going to a really hard recession. He's not looking for that, and that, in my opinion. But the jobs number is extremely important to him, because this is a sort of a tool to aid in bringing down inflation down to that 2%, because at the end of the day, the inflation is sky high still. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, it's still high, and he still needs to bring it down. And we still got that Russian and Ukraine war going on, and when you look at the bigger picture, we're still recovering from the COVID. And now the biggest issue for the Federal Reserve and the US market and markets around the world is, like, China at the moment is starting to wake up again in terms of their manufacturing. So obviously that's going to have maybe some impact at some point. So, but obviously, their target is the 2% range, and expect 2023 will be still. I don't think it will be as bad as 2023, because that was absolutely horrendous. But I feel that we're going to have some rocky times over 2023. So like I say to everybody, always be prepared, for these kind of scenarios, from either way. So, but for me, in terms of the markets, in terms of crypto, I keep on DCAing, but I'm enjoying the green candles at the moment, because we've had such a long time of having red candles. I'm just really enjoying these green candles. I know you get some people being really ultra bearish, but I'm sort of knocking away from that a little bit. Doing my own charting and doing my own research, and and when I see the green candles, I like it. It makes me feel good, So, but it's going on to the NBC, and it's sort of what I alliterated here. It says on the title here, the Federal Reserve raised rates. Chair Powell says it's premature to declare victory against inflation. So he's obviously, like I said, he's not declaring that's it, it's all done, finished, over. He wants to get to that 2% inflation rate. So we've got some ways to go, and So, he's basically, Gary Cohen said here, the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell made it clear during the press conference that the Fed is closely watching more anything else to jobs data, said former Goldman Sachs Chief Operating Officer Gary Cohen. He did go back and forth, giving the size of the argument, says Cohen, and a former economic advisor to the Trump administration. The only thing he kept hanging his hat on was the labour market. At this point, he feels like we are just labour dependent, and that's what I've just basically said. So he's obviously, Jerome Powell is watching. He's basically watching the job market very, very, very closely, because the jobs are there still. I think one statistic gave now. If somebody loses a job, there's another one and a half, 2 jobs available. So he wants to sort of bring that down. and that really. And you can, like I said, if you look on the inflation rate here, you know, you can see we're here now, and he wants to get to there. You know, so we're on the right track from here in 2022, and we are coming down, which is, you know, which is an absolute positive, like, you know. So, but yeah, so it's looking all good on that. And the Bitcoin, obviously, we had that 4.5% rise. All I'll say at the moment, we just got to be careful because we're in this rising wedge here on the 4 hourly. But if you look at the volume, sort of going down, volume sort of creeping down on this, you can see this line here, sort of creeping down a little bit. So we've got a rising wedge creeping down. Stochastic on the 4 hourly, sort of coming oversold. Could go a bit of choppy sideways a little bit, but I'm expecting, you know, we sort of could come down to here, bounce off this support here, and start making our way back up to around about the 25 mark. And then that's when we sort of get that resistance come into play, because there's quite a bit of resistance here. So if I just move that down, you can see if I get the this on the horizontal line here. So this is a 25 mark here. So we've got a little bit to go. So how many percentage have we got here? So we've got roughly around another 5% till we get to the 25,000, 25,500. But that's certainly going to be a bit of resistance that we've got to break through. And then we could be, the next resistance would be around about the 32 mark. So, you know, if we could start pushing, you know, obviously, like I said, we're sort of, as you can see here, stock RSI, sort of oversold here. You know, obviously, if we come back to this on the 4 hourly, come back to this support line here, obviously the stochastic will come down, probably around about this mark here, and then obviously start making our way back up. But it's obviously to have a correction of some sort. So like I said, we could come back to the 22,700 and then make our way up to that 25k, which will be obviously our next resistance area. But, you know, looking at Luxelgo, we sort of, so we've got the strong buy here. It's like I said, it's just choppy sideways, and we get the odd pump up and the odd push down. So we've got the drop down here, 4 or 5%. Now we go back up 4%. So like I said, we're just basically, we're just chopping away. But be careful of this ascending wedge. There could be a time where we could start to come down a little bit, retest it and go back up. But, you know, overall we're looking good. We've got the Dixie sort of, as you can see here, you know, it's gone below this trend line. If I put it on the daily, I'll give you a better idea of what I mean. So, so on this trend line here, we've sort of broken through it now. The trend catcher, now we've got a beautiful sell here, and then the trend catcher, your trend is your friend. Look at that, it's dropping down. It's looking pretty weak, the dollar is at the moment. So obviously this is why we've had, you know, generally the stock market's making a bit of an uptick on this. So all the risk assets are making a bit of a move, but like I said, Bitcoin, just be careful of that ascending triangle, ascending wedge. I mean, you know, we could come back down a bit to 22, but overall, you know, it's all looking good. It's all looking better than it did in 2022. So far we've had a really good start in January. So so let's have a quick check at Tectonic. So looking at Tectonic at the moment, so you can see the market cap, it hasn't, like I said, 0.46 down. You know, fully diluted market, we're up by just over 2% up there. And then volumes coming nicely here at 121, just over percent. You know, sentiment, you know, is still looking fairly bullish on Tectonic, you know. We had a bit of a drop down, obviously, and then we saw we picked up again, you know, and obviously the market in general, is what I just mentioned about Bitcoin, you know, we've sort of picked up a lot, like, you know. So looking at Tectonic, we're on this, you know, which is really interesting, you know, because on the 4 hour you look at Bitcoin and we're sort of on this ascending wedge, which could be known as bearish. But, you know, you're looking at on Tectonic on the 4 hour, and we've got a descending wedge. So basically what I did was I extrapolated the flagpole here and put it on a potential breakout, which is around about this mark here I put. So, you know, if we could, that would bust us straight through that resistance here. If I put it on the daily, I'll give you a better idea. But if I just refresh that. So so we've broken through that resistance here, and we bust through this one here. So we've got through there. The next one is around this mark here, around this level here. So as you can see, if we can break through that, that's going to be absolutely, create that as support. That'd be absolutely fantastic. But like I said, we just got to be careful of Bitcoin because it is in that ascending wedge. But we are in a descending wedge, so which is actually bullish. And look at the stock RSI; we're sort of right down at the bottom at the moment. So we could just basically chop sideways a little bit, and then make a push, the volume come in and make a push to the upside. Because obviously, it's all depending on what happens in the general markets anyway. But look at the Tectonic. We had these little, as you can see off previous ones, really. If I put it on 4-hourly, we had these little descending wedges. Then we had breakups, descending wedge, breakup, descending wedge, breakup. Then we did sort of break down, consolidated, and then we made that big push up, which was around about at the time. It was around about. If I could get this on the ticker, doesn't always play games. But yeah, so we did a massive 22% there. So, but at the moment, we're chopping around, hitting resistance, hitting support, as we are. So we could come back down here and then boom, straight up. There's always that chance, and we could do that. But if that was the case, and we followed this, you're sort of looking at roughly around about a 22%. So you could basically mimic this push up here, So we're just waiting. Obviously here, on the 4-hour, we sort of oversold. So like I said, we could come back down here if Bitcoin does, and we could come back down here and then make a push up. So overall, it's all looking quite bullish on Tectonic. And we did get a little bit of news on Tectonic on the 31st. Yeah, it is a second, so a bit late on this. We've got about a 500 trillion, But I think what they're doing is, they're doing the distribution. They're going to distribute it all out. As you can see, a bit down, where are we now? So yeah, so you can see here the distribution. So the airdrop, it's around about 5 trillion, but they're distributing it out to the staff team and such like. But basically, this distribution and is going to make it to everybody. We'll end up making it more valuable. But the only thing I was sort of looking forward to. So if I get all of this and that and basically, they'll be creating NFT staking isolated liquidity pools as well. The only thing I was sort of to a point disappointed about. I thought, to be a little bit more about sort of burns really, and also mention about partnerships, other new partnerships as well. Because I know we got the partnership here recently with Vino, but I was sort of hoping we're going to get some more partnerships. But it is what it is, and it's good news. But Tectonic, and keep saying this, is a long-term hold. It's not a short-term hold; it's a long-term. And obviously, when the bull market comes back properly, expect Tectonic to push up as well. But I was sort of expecting to get a bit more news about the listings, partnerships. But maybe, what sometimes I find in the markets is, especially in crypto, is that a lot of times all these projects hold off on the really, really good news until the bull market comes back. Because when the bull market's back and everybody is FOMOing in and hyped up, and then they start releasing these really exciting news releases, that helps to really push up the prices of each of these projects. So they could well be held into film things back. We don't know. Obviously, they're not really particularly Tectonic on social media. Are very community orientated. Getting involved a little bit. They are trying. I can see that, but time. But they're probably, like I said, they are building behind closed doors. So, but like I said, we might get more news as time goes on about burns and new partnerships and listing. I'm really bullish on Tectonic. I think it's slow, methodical, and I can remember that when I first ever invested in Cardano. At the time, it was just slow, taking your time, methodical approach. And then you sort of gradually building up that momentum. And you could see this, the community here in Tectonic is growing, and obviously Tectonic is building, and they're still here. You know, that's one of the things you can't forget. They are still here, and they are still building. You know, so you know, Tectonic is looking really, really stellar in my eyes, and like I said, it's a long-term hold. So I hope that just gives you a brief on things with the markets and such like. So, like I said, I hope everybody's doing well at week. Have a great day ahead, and like I said, if you give us a thumbs up and give us a subscribe, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Take care and enjoy your day.